This is the Power Break Podcast number 043, an interview with Andrew Newman, campus minister at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Hi, I'm your host, Bob Brubaker, inviting you to stay tuned as we seek to give you a little power in this break to help you succeed in the race of life. The Power Break Podcast is a twice-weekly show that provides a discussion of biblical principles applied to daily life and an interview show featuring stories of perseverance to help you keep pressing on. Today we're talking with Andrew Newman, who is a campus minister with Reformed University Fellowship on the campus of USF in Tampa. Today's interview is conducted at BJ's in Pinellas Park. Talking today with Andrew Newman, who is the RUF minister at University of South Florida in Tampa. Welcome, Andrew.
Good evening.
Well, we're recording this in the evening at BJ's in St. Petersburg. We're on our way to a meeting. Let's talk about your ministry as working with students at University of South Florida. Mm-hmm. How many years have you been doing that now?
I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm entering my fourth year.
Okay.
As campus minister. Yeah.
What has been the highlight over the years? I mean, here we are, 3 years down, and
man, what's been the highlight? I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is how I have grown as a Christian and a pastor kind of through the time.
I'm sure that has come through persevering through some struggles, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the struggles that a campus minister faces?
Well, I think it's unique to each area. From my experience so far, because this is my first job out of seminary, has been I'm trying to think where to start. Maybe there's constant turnover, which is hard. Okay. So you, especially at University of South Florida, students come and go very quickly, and so just as a student either gets to I get to know them very well, or they begin to invest in the ministry and invest and grow, they leave, and so there's some positives to that in that you get to start over on a more regular basis. But for me personally, I like continuity, and so you're part of a ministry that just has quick turnover, and so I feel like I'm always restarting, I'm always rethinking how I'm doing things because of the turnover.
Is that unique to the University of South Florida? Is that kind of like an RUF, Reformed University Fellowship standard?
Well, it's definitely, it's obviously at every campus because students come and they graduate. It's not a permanent place for them, I would say I'm curious to know the average amount of time a student spends at an American university, but I would say USF is probably well below that average. And I think in Florida, for instance, a lot of students will do dual enrollment, so they'll come in with their AA, and so they only have 2 years left of school, and they'll maybe do 1.5 years and then finish the last 6 months at home. And so on average, I feel like I have students for a year and a half.
Yeah, especially there's a lot of not only commuting, but there's also the online university too.
Yeah.
So what does that do to a campus ministry?
Well, yeah, it's interesting in RUF. I've heard some people talk about how American universities typically fall into two camps. One is that they're a belonging campus, and what I mean by that is when students go there, they want to be a part of that culture. So they're looking to be a part of a group. They're looking to congregate together kind of naturally. So I went to NC State. NC State, I would say, is a belonging campus because you want to go to the basketball games, you want to go to football games, you want to join a fraternity or sorority, be a part of a club. And then you have campuses that are achieving campuses. So usually when a student goes to an achieving campus, they're looking to get done with college. They're not looking to be there for a long time. So I would say USF falls under that latter camp because students come in already with an AA, so they're looking to do it quickly, cheaply, and they're not looking to invest. And for campus ministry, you want people to invest. You want people you want people to belong, to find a place where they can grow in their knowledge about God and in their relationship with each other. And so USF, I think the culture at large at USF is not conducive to that kind of ministry.
So it's been a real challenge from the get-go.
Yeah, I think as I've learned, I think it has been. And I always struggle with making that as an excuse as to why, things aren't happening in a certain way. But I think that's also just I'm learning how to do, the ministry at USF as an RUF campus minister is going to look different than the RUF campus minister at the University of Auburn or something.
Right.
When there's already a big presence, people are looking to come and belong to a ministry maybe. So it's just very different, and that's okay. And so part of my job is just learning how to do my job in the place I'm called to,
So when you first came to University of South Florida, how was it that what's the best way you found to meet students and develop a ministry? It seems like all of a sudden you're on an island, right?
Yeah, and so RUF USF has been here now for 15 years. So it was already there. So I did already have students that were part of the ministry, that were leaders in the ministry. But I had to figure out ways to meet the incoming students and new students. So I kind of did what I like to do, which is play basketball. And so I've met a lot of students through playing basketball. I think my wife gets embarrassed by this, but I like just kind of walking around and talking to strangers. And so I walk around campus all the time and just talk to random students. So it's kind of a combination of meeting people on a random, by chance way, and then playing basketball, playing sports and stuff like that.
How many days a week do you play basketball?
A good week would be like 3 times a week.
Oh, that's good.
I go up kind of in the afternoons around 3:30, 4, and I'll play for an hour and a half with students.
So let's back up to the ministry then. What all does that entail to be the campus minister? And obviously you're working with students, meeting students, but what is your objective?
Well, so RUF has kind of an official mission statement, which is to reach students for Christ and equip them to serve. And so I would say, if I was to put in a sentence or two, is to get students to be a part of that mission. So they have been reached and they are being equipped, and then they're carrying that along in the same way. And that's just the language that we use. That's the Great Commission, of Matthew 28. So what it looks like on a daily basis is I meet with students one-on-one. I lead Bible studies, and then I have a large group that I preach at. Or it's like preaching / sometimes I'll do more of a Sunday school teaching time. And so really, besides the preaching, I want students to do the same thing. So I'm kind of teaching and leading them to carry that on.
Okay. How is it? I know you were looking for and praying for leaders.
Yeah.
How has that been?
It's been good. That's that fits in that hard category with students quickly turning over. It's hard to produce leaders or to have leaders because as when they're showing signs of leadership, they're graduating. It seems.
Wow! Yeah, that's a struggle.
Yeah. So, but this past semester was good, and I'll be starting a leadership team this fall. So we have 6 students that are going to be on it. And I would say these 6 students, I've seen them already do leadership-type activities. And so it's almost me seeing them already do it, and then now I'm going to create a team where I can further equip them and develop them as leaders. So I would say part of it is those prayers have been answered, and these students have come to the ministry and are part of it. And some of it is still to be seen how they develop, and how the leadership team goes. So.
Okay. But that's one thing that you pray about and that you spread the word about, that you're looking for leaders.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. How active is your wife in your ministry?
I would say very active. We kind of joke that she is an unpaid intern. Yeah, so she meets with girls one-on-one. She's led Bible studies almost every semester since we've been here, a girls' Bible study. She cooks meals all the time. We have students into our house a lot. That's a big aspect of our ministry, kind of hospitality, and she's a huge part of that. And I think also this is big in ministry, I think in general, but maybe specifically a big deal in campus ministry is having these students see us as a family and seeing Megan and I, my wife and I together, how we fail as parents, how we fail as spouses, but also what it looks like to be in a Christian marriage, a Christian family.
Sure.
So And that's something unique, I think, about USF. I've spoken to a couple other people who've done ministry or are doing ministry at USF, and a lot of students come from single-parent homes or from homes that have divorce and a dysfunctional family. And so it's a huge thing for them to see an intact family and also a family that is kind of working out the gospel in their daily lives.
Sure.
That's
very, very important. So, having students in your home, is that how do your kids adapt to that?
Well, my oldest son is Knox, and he thinks his best friends are all between the ages of 18 and 22. So my oldest son loves it. We have a daughter who's just a year old, but she loves it too. That's something that's a blessing for us for our kids to grow up around college students. And really, the college students care for them well and love them well. So it's just kind of a unique ministry for them too to be a part of our family.
Sure.
So our kids love it.
That's great. Well, let's talk about another aspect of your ministry that people may or may not know, that you have to raise your support.
That's right.
Did you know that going in?
I did, yeah. And I still did it. I knew that going in. I knew that it would be hard and it takes a lot of work, but it's a good thing, and I'm thankful that I get to do it.
Okay. How do you do about? Obviously, you're looking for people to support you regularly, but how did you go about that? Obviously, did you have friends, family, and just search everywhere?
Yeah, it's it's kind of about who you know, and so there's people I know, and then there's people out there I don't know that I need to get to know, and so the way I go about kind of finding new supporters or like partners in the ministry is typically just when I meet people in my day-to-day life, and kind of tell them about what I'm doing, and if they're excited about it, try to bring them on as a supporter. I've started to use this language as a partner, because I really do see it as them joining me in ministry, not just giving to allow me to do it, but they can be a part of it. So,
let's talk about the overall ministry. Obviously, it's not a long term that you've been here, but you've been here enough that you've had to persevere through some ups and downs.
Yeah.
What's the key to you persevering in ministry on the campus?
That's a good question. Well, I think the typical semester, at which I was telling you earlier, goes like this. Like the beginning, everyone's excited. You get there, when students get there in a couple weeks, everyone's excited to be there. They want to try everything. They want to do everything. I'm excited because I'm meeting all these new people. The students who are already involved are excited because they see new students coming in. And so there's this month and a half period of like a sprint,
Yeah.
And then you get to the middle of the semester and everybody's taking midterms. Everybody's life feels like their life is falling apart. And then I began to kind of share those burdens or carry those burdens for students with them. And so that can kind of get taxing as the semesters go along, And I think the key is to realize that. There's a book I've read recently called by Zach Eshwan, The Imperfect Pastor, and his tagline that kind of talks about what the book is about is that ministry is not a big one-time. We all want to do ministry in like a big one-time thing, an event, like event-based. And he's saying ministry is really slow, long-term, consistent, small things. And so just having that mindset, going into the semester allows me to go kind of get through the excitement of the beginning and then kind of get through some of the slower periods of time and realize that God is still at work in the slow periods of time as much as he is when we're doing the big events or whatever,
So the key to your persevering is realizing it's a long-term event.
And also, I think that's something that I've heard RUF people talk about is that we are in it for the long haul. Like we're not. And I've told my students this, and I hope we can tell them this more throughout the semester. But it's really, I want them to be affected by my ministry 10, 15 years down the road. I'm not trying to get whatever I can get out of them for these next 2 years. I'm hoping that gospel seeds are planted that will produce fruit when they're married, when they have kids, you know, and so.
And they participate in a local church down the way.
Exactly, yeah. So that kind of stuff, it allows me to have a little bit more of a grounded consistency rather than the excitement and flux, if you will, of the college student. You know, I'm kind of coming in as a non-anxious presence and allowing them to kind of walk with them through their anxiety, and kind of give them that long-term goal of the Christian life, you know. So,
well, if anybody was listening to this and they wanted to be a partner with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can call or text or email me. There's also, if you go to ruf.org and type in USF or University of South Florida, you will see at the bottom a button that you just press to donate, and then you can give monthly, you can give one time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll put that information in the show notes.
Yeah. That'd be great.
And including your phone number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love that. Yeah.
And also, when people listen to this podcast, if they have a student that's coming to USF, is it good to contact you and say,
definitely.
Look out for this person?
Yeah. Contact me. Let me know whatever you want me to know, and give me contact information or whatever. That's a big way of how I get connected to students, is people either contacting me or students contacting me. So, yeah.
Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this today. I'm talking to Andrew Newman. He is the campus minister at the University of South Florida for the Reformed University Fellowship, and we'll have him back on the podcast to talk more about his perseverance as he continues there at USF. But Andrew, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. It's been fun.
This has been the Power Break Podcast with another story of perseverance to encourage you to keep pressing on in the race of life. If you would like information about Andrew Newman's ministry on the campus of USF in Tampa, you'll find his contact information in today's show notes at bobbrubaker.com. Look up the Power Break Podcast. This is show number 043. The Power Break Podcast is a twice-weekly show that provides a discussion show with JT and myself on biblical principles to help you succeed in the race of life, and an interview show with stories of perseverance. Please subscribe wherever you have downloaded the podcast, and please leave a rating and a review. Check out today's show notes, books, the Power Break blog, and more at my website, bobbrubaker.com. And listen next time for the Power Break Podcast.